Now y'all know I love to build, especially with 2024 being the year I built my most complicated, challenging, but biggest and baddest bike yet, and that's the Honda VT600, the electric Honda VT600 Chopper Bobber. But you know what I'm sick and tired of? Every time I build a new bike, the old one just has problems. I can never take it anywhere. I can never ride it. And speaking of problems, I'm in the yard right now looking at a few bikes that having a lot of problems. One of them being the Mototech. Man, I missed the Mototech. That battery died a year ago. But there has been some changes that's been made, or I might be able to update y'all on that Mototech pretty soon. But that's besides the point. Project Flash, the original first project. This battery's having issues. It's no longer usable. If I'm being honest anyway, just looking at this bike again, it's gonna need a lot more than just a battery replacement, which will probably be the most expensive thing. But this needs a lot of work. Even my brother's McCargy, the stretched McCargy, is not even working. That battery just died a few months ago. But those aren't the only bikes that are having issues. As I just see, I pulled out the garage, the original square body. Now this one is a little different. For the people who don't know, damn near exactly 1 year ago, and I say that because we're 2 days off, December the 16th, 2023, I had a collision with the car. But luckily for me and the bike, the collision was not as bad as it looked. I came out unscathed, no broken bones, no injuries. The bike's pretty bent up, but everything bent on it is things that are very replaceable. See, I already know what this video's about. You already know what that means. Today, I'm finally going to be repairing Project Square Body, the original square body. Now, I do want to say the reason I'm doing this bike first instead of the Project Flash, the first bike, the one that's been having issues for the last 3 years, or completely dead for the last 3 years, I should say. Well, one, I could be wrong, but I feel like a lot of y'all like the Chopper builds more, so let me bring back the original Chopper. And two, the main reason is, ever since my mom's Mototech died, she's had nothing to ride. So I'm actually repairing this bike for her because she wants the bike. She's very excited to have it. So like I said, the small update with the Mototech's actually mine now. So I can do whatever I want with it. Y'all know what that means. But anyways, that's the reason why I'm building up square body first before anything else. But don't worry, Project Flash, for the people who love it, I know I still do, it will be making its return. I can't tell you how soon, I can't tell you how long, but I know it's gonna happen. But with all that being said, we're in the yard, so let's start fixing up Project Square Body, the original square body. All right, so now that I'm outside, it is time to get to work. First things first, I wanna take all of these panels off, these 3 panels. I need to even make sure to take the gas tank off. After I do that, I wanna pull this battery out so I can save some weight for lifting this bike up and putting them on the jack stands, so I can then take these forks off and make sure they're not stuck. I mean, regardless if they are or not, they need to come off. Then after that, I'm going to revert back to these panels. I want to take the paint off of these panels, and I need to take the paint off this gas tank because this is for my mom. She want me to paint this black. And then probably the next morning, because I'm going to take my time with this, I don't need to rush it, I'm going to get everything off of these handlebars, get the handlebars themselves off, start painting the gas tank and panels, and then we're gonna start mocking up with these old handlebar pieces, the new foot pegs, because this definitely needs a new pair of foot pegs. I'm not fixing those, they're floppy and trash. As you see, they flex and I'm barely pushing it. I'm not that strong, I'm not that big, so they shouldn't be flexing like that. But anyways, now that we got that all out the way, let's get to it. Getting this battery out is probably gonna be the most annoying thing. That plug is a pain in the ass. So this might take me a minute. So I realized when I first built this bike and everything was done, so I was just putting it together, I didn't have forks or the front wheel on when I put the frame on the 2 red stands here. So I gotta actually get this wheel off first in order to make things a little easier, which was complicated due to its bent forks. Right now I'm attempting this technique of spinning it. I was gonna use my drill, but the drill was clicking too much. I don't want to strip the bolt. But just by spinning it a little bit, it's moving its way out, okay. We're threading out a bit. Sheesh. Yeah, I think this is clearly, it's clearly bent up. The threads are kind of like what's causing the problem now. Yeah, it's threading. It's threading inside of the forks. I don't know if I have anything, but I think I'm gonna need something long enough to fit inside of these on the other side and hammer it through. I actually might be able to use my ratchet. Let's go. Oh shit, okay. Well, I feel like I've just found out another problem. Either it's still this fork that's doing that, or I'm gonna have to buy a new axle because this one seems like it's bent. Camera, this took a long time. Yeah, this is very bent, as you can see. As you can tell, we got this lip sticking out, yet and still, this side of the axle goes flat. So that shows you how bent it is. Highly doubt I can bend that back in place due to the fact that it took a car crash to cause us to bend like this. So, throw that in the extra pit of metal. Look how easy it's coming out. Now, unless it's just bent, because of course, again, I got hit by a car. Why is it that one is so goddamn painfully difficult for no reason, and this one's that easy? Look at this shit. My God, if only both were that easy. Thinking about putting some mirrors on my new bobber. It looks cool without them, but it's a little sketchy having to look behind me in order to see if I can change lanes.
So now that everything is off, it's time to start sanding the gas tank and the panels. Now I did wait until sundown because it was so hot out here. If I didn't say this already, I'll say it now. This was actually recorded in August. It was 100 to 104 degrees out there, really hot. Now that only gave me about 30 minutes to an hour, but that was just enough time for me to get all the necessary paint off. So now the next morning, I do the hand sanding and I start painting. Sadly, with it still being super hot and even me trying to get out there as early as possible to paint, the paint didn't come out as good as I really wanted it to. It's quite rough, very rough texture. It's terrible, let's just say that. But it's a nice strong paint job. It shouldn't scratch so easily like the old blue paint job. Regardless, now that I'm done painting, this will allow me to give the panels and gas tank time to cure while I work on everything else.
But now that the paint is done, it's time to move on to something, and kind of the only thing I can do right now. Yes, I am about to expose myself. I know I'll be showing the unboxing part, like I got everything and now we're getting to work. No, I'm actually waiting for something today. But while I'm waiting for that current item, I want to start working on the foot pegs. Break this shit off. These were garbage. I've already showed you they're weak and flimsy. It's time to start working on the new ones. So for the new ones, keeping them in the same place. So I can't do them up here, but I want to weld them down here onto the frame, nice and strong. I'm not going to do this thin ass panel. The good old Harley foot pegs, mounts, same thing used for the VT project. So while I'm waiting, this is the only thing I can do right now, but I want to get out the way because it's still early in the morning. It's like 10, 11, and I haven't ate breakfast. So let's get that over with. Should be quick, should be. Let's see. Foot pegs are done. As you can see, I got the peg on. See how much it sticks out? Yeah, we don't need that extra steel. Forks have arrived. It's hot as fuck. Let's get this shit done.
Well, not quite. Like I should have known.
Damn, that works better.
Got in a crash. So the fork clamps, the triple tree, they're bent. Had to get a new pair.
You can see it. That's sticking way out, and that's pretty flat. These clamps are bent up.
One eternity later.
Parts have arrived. The new axle sitting right here, and the clamp down there. Pretty nice, in good condition. But as of right now, and I've already slightly gotten started on, is getting this old bearing ring off of the stem. Like I said, I already got started just a little bit, and it's actually fairly easy right now. Bam. And the annoying part is though, the crash shoved these down so much they're stuck because I can't get the new / old bearing off. As you can see, I was breaking it. Let's get this off because later today the new bearings is coming so I can put them on. So pretty much what I'm gonna do here, because I don't have any tool to just hold the wheel up and let it spin in the air from the axle, and I just thought of this idea, what I'm gonna do is make these real tall. I'm gonna take this kind of long, but might not be long enough axle, and then maybe it's long enough for me to sit on here and I can just roll it. So, is the wheel crooked? Would you look at that? That is perfectly straight. All right, it's hours later. Bottom bearings arrived. It's hot as fuck. Let's get this installed.
Usually when I'm building a new project and I'm trying to get new bearings on, I have to do the complication of taking the empty frame, flipping it upside down. While the new bearing is on the stem, I have to then put the bottom clamp stem into the frame steering neck tube. And then I take my mallet or my hammer and I just slam down on it until the bearing is fully down. But this time around, it seems to be because I have that little bolt that screws into the bottom stem. Just spinning that around was pulling the bearing down in place and using a little bit of hammer and mallet usage at the end, not nearly as much as I would normally need to. It worked out just fine.
Right now, which is a lot. Should be just enough. Refreshing a little bit with some more. Should be fine. I like how these forks though are easier to get through. These forks are so hot from the sun heat, it's starting to burn these gloves. I know these aren't heat-proof gloves, but geez, it's that hot. Oh, this rim is hot as hell. I think it's in. Oh, it's in. And it looks like it's a perfect fit.
Alright, so there's really only so much more that needs to be done. If I'm correct, 3 things. That's the brakes, the rear tail lights, and just simply putting the bike back together. So we're going to do exactly that with that exact lineup, because the brakes is probably the last tedious thing right now. Because why? I got to make a new brake mount because I got a new pair of brakes. Really was not a fan of those pit bike brakes. You know what? I don't understand this. I just want to do this very tiny rant. Knowing that this bike was just mismatched with all these different parts and that I wouldn't be able to find the proper OEM brake mount that would go to the wheel and the forks because they're both not OEM, I thought my only option was to use pit bike brakes because that was the only thing I could make an adapter for. But if I have to make the adapter for the brakes, I can make an adapter to any brakes I want, or at least any brakes that I can afford. Yet still, I went with pit bike brakes. If I didn't have pit bike brakes, if I had much stronger brakes, to be honest, I probably would have never crashed. It was my brakes that could not stop me to literally damn near save my life. So this time around, we got some motorcycle brakes. And I need to make a nice strong mount for these motorcycle brakes. Let's get started.
Yeah, hoping for the best, because no really other option here. Nice. So I ain't gotta worry about nothing.
because I failed to realize that my mic died, I'm going to go ahead and say it here. The brake mount is done, it's looking strong, it's looking good. But like a fool, the metal was hot, so I wanted to move it out the way, and I sat it on this plastic table, so it melted my table. But anyways,
it's time we start working these brakes, but I can't quite do that, at least not properly, without the handlebars being installed. So with that being said, let's get these bars on. Nope, we're good. All right, no overflow. Nice. So now that the brakes are installed, we got pressure. I don't think we have air bubbles. Time to start getting some stuff on this handlebar installed. So everything's on the bars. It's time to move on to the small bit of electrical things we need to do. One wire that was pulled out to the voltmeter. This was pulled out of its little clip piece. And all I really had to do was take the little pin, because it was just the pin, and put it back in there. So that being the one little electric problem, there's really only another, and we're gonna get started on that. As you can tell throughout the whole time, these dangling tail lights. Yeah. I got it. Yes, sir. Let's not slap it down because it has no kickstand down right now. Last thing I want is this to just go falling over. Oh boy, that's a problem.
so as y'all can tell, I completely forgot to consider the fact that I have much taller forks on this bike. It's gonna need a much longer kickstand. So I'm not gonna be able to jump into those taillights just yet. I'm gonna need to figure this one out, which actually should be fairly easy.
Ladies and gents, the battery's low, but it's time to cut. All right, the kickstand is done. It's fully welded. Now, I'm not gonna lie, and I'm sure y'all gonna say the exact same thing. This is one goofy looking ass kickstand. It's the length that I need since, you know, this is a very short, stubby frame. So just these slightly taller forks make it sit quite high. It should do what I need it to do, so let's see. It seems like it's leaning as hard as it originally was with its original length. Just hopefully it can still fit in the garage and the kickstand won't be hitting everything, because it might.
But now that the kickstand is done, let's get this battery back in so we get back to working on the new taillights.
All right, ladies and gents, camera's fully charged up and the wires are finally done. Extended, wrapped up, they look nice and clean. So zip tying these and putting these back on the bike should look a lot neater than the other ones with the wires being exposed, having those ugly looking colors out. But I only got one slight, probably not major, but one slight problem. And that is, it's completely dark. It's dark as fuck. And the only good light I have is this thing, but this thing doesn't stay on. So if I can just stay in this area to keep the light constantly staying on, because there's only so much I need to do. Okay, so I just found out this light right here does not stay on, but I do have this. Yeah, look at that. First things first, these wires, they're getting cut.
Now that our taillights are installed, let's clean up these wires and start putting this bike back together.
is on, from the tail lights to the panels, the gas tank, the handlebars, new forks, new brake calipers, even a new master cylinder. And last but not least, the new foot peg mounts and the foot pegs, feeling a lot stronger. Now that all that it's done, there's nothing else to talk about. It's time to roll out. All right, ladies and gents, if you enjoyed this video of me repairing the old school square body, the original square body, make sure to hit like, comment, and subscribe. Even though this bike is not so much mine anymore, I still got a little bit of things I want to do with it. And one thing that I have to do after this video that we should be seeing next week, that is the review. So I'm gonna say it one more time. Make sure to hit like, comment, and hit the subscribe button to get electrified with people. Become electric with the rest of the people. It has been, and me, I'm out. Peace.